Boom. Welcome back to PokeMarketLab, everyone. We are going to get into some drama today. I'm going to create maybe some drama today. I'm going to rebuke a couple of PokeTuber videos. I wouldn't normally do this. I don't like calling people out. This isn't to call people out necessarily. It's just to throw out a counter argument to what I think is some pretty bad advice. So I firmly believe on this channel, you should always make your own judgments on things, and so that's why I'm doing this. And so if a little bit of drama today sounds good to you, sit back, relax, and welcome to PokeMarketLab. All right, everyone, a little bit of housekeeping before we get going here. We would love your subscription. If you like what we're doing here, if you like this video, click the like button, leave a comment below, and we would love your subscription. And with that, let's start off by talking about a couple of things specifically. I got to get out of the way. So I'm on the YouTube space, small potatoes as it relates to my genre here, which is sealed Pokemon investing, sealed Pokemon collecting. Pretty small potatoes, but at the end of the day, there's still influence being put out on on a platform, and I think influence is a huge thing that people. It's kind of a behind the curtains thing that people don't talk about at the end of the day. I want you at every point, regardless of what you're reading and consuming, specifically in large audiences like this on YouTube, right? From these other PokeTubers, I'm not talking about myself. Remember where the information is coming from. When someone is using YouTube as a sales channel, as a sales funnel, meaning using that audience to pull people in for direct sales, to pull people into a Patreon program or something like that, right? There's influence there. There's something to be gained for that person by putting that information out there. And that could be, again, just selling to them. That could be selling a service to them. That could be artificially inflating the cost of something and pushing and quote unquote pumping that product for your own benefit. There's influence there. That influence can be dangerous. There is little in the way of guardrails for that. And the only guardrail is you and your mind, and making sure at the end of the day, you're making good judgments on this stuff. We are in a market where people are getting sucked in. There's money to be made. Some of it is easy money, right? People want easy money. We're getting a lot of people who have not done this before into this market. And again, if that's you and you're here to make money, at the end of the day, that's what I want to. I just disagree with how we're currently doing that in the market that we're in. So I just want you to, again, stop, think before you make any purchases, before you go into anything, just have a plan. I'm going to talk about stuff today that seems negative in terms of the Poke YouTube, realm, as well as Pokemon investing. That's not my intent. I want you at the end of the day to better your life, and investing in a sealed Pokemon is a crossover of the love of Pokemon and earning some money, maybe over a long period of time. I want you to keep doing this. I want you to have a plan for it though. And buying everything right now at any prices on the secondary market, to me, is not a plan. And so again, we're going to go into this in a second. So back to the influence thing. I'm an influencer at the end of the day. Again, I got a very, very small audience. I appreciate that audience. Other than the sealed collection I have and a little bit of dollars I get from YouTube at the end of the day, there's not much in the way of financial benefit I get from trying to manipulate the market. I don't have that kind of reach. I'll never have that kind of reach. But still, I want you to take everything with a grain of salt. If you're going to make a purchase, if you're going to do something in life with your hard-earned money, stop and think about, okay, what's the upside potential? What's the risk, right? The goal of investing in any asset class whatsoever is, number one, capital preservation. Not just to make money. That's the long-term goal. In the short term, it's capital preservation. I want to be able to deploy that capital into an asset that is not going to go belly up in the short term, right? I want my money to work for me with a long runway. But the problem, I've said this for a long time, is people do this, people especially with Pokemon, because there is some emotional attachment to it. I love the product at the end of the day. That's an emotional attachment I don't have to my stocks, right? So that becomes dangerous, because if I'm associating the current price with that product, a product that I love, that emotion spills over to the price. And that becomes a problem when you're holding on to a product in order to benefit from that product to truly see, to see what you're seeing in Sword and Shield right now, to see some of these products that have been down, they've been sideways sometimes for years, and now we see the benefit after holding for a long period of time. That's the kind of growth I want you in. But to that emotional roller coaster on that price is a very, very difficult thing to ride for a long period of time. Take it from someone who's been through those kind of markets. I've been through it with stocks. I've been through it with Pokemon product, and Pokemon product's hard because you love it, because you believe in it, and then suddenly it doesn't work. And that's a hard thing it's hard to watch that stuff sit and essentially rot on your shelf from a price standpoint, and to be upside down on it. And which is why my methodology changed to buying product extremely cheap and letting it ride for a long period of time when no one else wanted it. And that doesn't mean I don't buy product now, but that's fundamentally how I've been so successful from a price growth standpoint, is buying stuff cheap, letting it ride for a long period of time. But it's much harder than people, like, again, I've said on this channel many times, this is for me, it's a 5+ year plan to see this stuff ride before I typically sell it. That's not always the case, but and that is a lot harder to do. It's hard to watch your money be tied up for a long period of time, especially if it's not performing. It's easy now. Your money's performing for you. At least from a micro standpoint, last 10 months, your money has performed for you. There has been almost nothing that you couldn't buy at MSRP in the last 10 months that didn't earn you money. And so in the short term, it seems like nothing can lose. And I argue that that's just not the case. So let's get into some specific videos here. Let's talk about Rudy's video recently. Rudy from Alpha Investments. If you don't know, I cannot imagine you're watching this channel and don't know who Rudy is. Rudy is the largest pumper of magic and sealed magic and Pokemon product on the internet. So he moves a ton of product. He has a Patreon program. He obviously holds and sealed product himself for a long period of time, and will liquidate pieces and parts of it over time. He is the biggest influencer in terms of certainly on the magic side, not necessarily on the Pokemon side. I would say no, he's not the largest influencer on the Pokemon side. Rudy is, at the end of the day, like all influencers, there's some really good information there, but it's mired inside of what is obviously an intent for him to push you to his Patreon, to push you to buy products from him, to obviously pump his own situation at the end of the day. And I'm not here to say that's a bad thing. That does not make him an evil person. He's using his platform. He's trying to put money in his pocket at the end of the day. And he's not scamming anyone in doing that. He's using his YouTube channel as a sales funnel, right? To be able to, number one, generate content on YouTube and generate, ad revenue there to, I would say probably pretty substantial ad revenue there, obviously, to bring income in. That also creates a sales funnel into his Patreon program as well. And then thirdly, through his Patreon program, he's selling product. He sells at a pretty good price. And so he's obviously making money from the Patreon program. Then he's making money on what he's selling through the Patreon program, and he's selling at a really good price. But he's making probably a little bit, maybe $1 or $2 a box. But he's selling many tens of thousands of boxes per month. And then fourthly, he's using his influence on YouTube and on the internet to obviously elevate all the massive amounts of sealed product that he has stored away for a long period of time to grow his net worth. If you've ever watched any one of his videos, it's him in front of hundreds and thousands of sealed cases of Pokemon or Magic product at the end of the day. So that's who Rudy is. Again, I've been following Rudy for a long time. I've been a patron of his, a member of his Patreon for a long period of time. I disagree with some of the things he says, which again is part of the reason I created a YouTube channel to begin with, because I disagreed on some of these things, and I could not sit on the sidelines and not put some counter information out for some folks that maybe wanted a little more of a less hype driven, less influence driven structure to how we present fundamental information and data and all that, and make just kind of have a more adult themed channel about how we approach this kind of stuff, instead of just guy who calls himself the Taco Man. At the end of the day, that's entertainment. Okay, let's throw this out there too. Entertainment at the end of the day is good, but there's a very, very fuzzy line between entertainment and fundamental information. I am not. At the end of the day, this is entertainment. This is not investing advice, but I hope at the end of the day, this is fundamental information this channel provides to you. Rudy has some of that too. If you listen enough to his videos, there's some excellent information. The guy's incredibly smart. I'm super, super envious of the Empire. He's creative. I think that's the right word for it. So again, I don't want this to come off like a negative Rudy video, it's not. So let's get back to the point. So he put a video out about whether we are in a bubble or not as it relates to Magic and Pokemon. We're going to talk about obviously the Pokemon side of things, and he thought that we aren't, and I firmly disagree with that. The very basic definition of a bubble is a market in which it's hype driven, it's speculative. The reason most people are buying that asset is because it is a way to make money. Instead of any kind of underlying fundamental reasons, whether the set's good, whether there's enough players, whether there's enough collectors, whether there's a off-road in terms of selling that product down the road. I firmly believe we are absolutely in a bubble. I firmly believe that most buyers right now, at least I would say within the last 6 months, are here because of the money, because the product's expensive, because there's money to be made. And from a micro standpoint, it looks like you can't lose. And again, enough of us who have been in the hobby long enough know from a macro standpoint, it's not a straight line up, right? If you zoom in on a chart, you're going to see undulations, ups and downs. You're going to see crashes. You're going to see peaks and valleys. It's like any stock chart you've ever looked at. Zoom out 5 years, and that damn thing looks like it's just constantly going up. If you zoom in and you look at year by year and month by month, it's a lot more fractured. It's a lot more up and down. So I firmly disagree with Rudy on this. I think in his heart of hearts, he knows it's a bubble, but I think calling it a bubble probably does him a disservice from a financial standpoint in the short term, both from across the board. All those 4 points I talked about, those inputs into his net worth and revenue at the end of the day, calling it a bubble and calling it what it is, calling a spade, I think probably negatively impacts him in that regard in the short term. So again, this is why you have to take things with a grain of salt whenever you're seeing things on Reddit, watching YouTube videos, wherever you're getting your information from. You need to bolster that with multiple sources. All right, let's talk about Brian from PokeNE. Again, I love Brian. I think he's a extremely hard worker. I love his content. But he's, again, at the end of the day, he's created a sales channel to get people to go to his website and buy product at PokeNE.com, right? Again, this is not to disparage him. This is not to talk ill of him. I just disagree with this specific video that he put out. So in this video, he's talking about MSRP, specifically PokeTubers pushing MSRP. I don't know specifically who he's talking about, but I'm going to kind of throw myself in there. I'm sure he's not watching this channel, but I talk about MSRP all the time. And I talk about how I think we need to be careful chasing product at secondary market prices, and that there are opportunities to grab things at MSRP. And I think that you should be doing a little bit of both. So we're going to talk about those fundamentals here in a second. So there's really two methodologies on the table here. So the one he's talking about is kind of a FOMO driven, high stakes, short term, go after the secondary market because it's going to go up over any period of time. And the reason I disagree with this is again, strictly because most people I don't think are going to be in this hobby for 5 years. So what happens there is that when you're not in the hobby for 5 years, that risk of your product going down becomes harder to mitigate. So when that short-term mindset, the short-term, hey, if I buy Destined Rivals at $350 or $320 a box, or buy the dip on Surging Sparks, as Brian talks about, you can't lose because the product's going to go up. Again, looking back at the last 6 to 10 months, that's true. But we know long-term, there's just more risk there. Surging Sparks at $220 a box. If you buy a box now, the risk 6 months from now to 6 years from now is very, very different. Your risk from 6 years from now is almost none, right? The risk would have to be the Pokemon market completely being annihilated. But I would argue, again, most people will not be here for 6 years. So that risk reduction of time helps reduce that risk, right? It helps provide upside potential, is not there. And if you are putting capital into this hobby, and that capital maybe is capital you maybe shouldn't have put in there, it's maybe you're leveraged into, I don't know. That becomes the future of Surging Sparks in a shorter time frame, or Destined Rivals in a shorter time frame, becomes much, much foggier. And I think it's ill-advised to listen to people who are telling you to buy product above MSRP, way above MSRP, product in the hottest bull run that this hobby has ever been in, because it's going to continue to go up. And I think there's a different methodology. I think my methodology, which I'm going to talk about right now, is doing a little of both. let's look at Destined Rivals. 300, last I checked, $320 a booster box, right? I want you to have some exposure to that. I want you to have some exposure to Destined Rivals almost at any cost, meaning grab an ETB, grab a booster box, and then wait. Wait for opportunity for pullback to be able to enter in. Maybe Destined Rivals, maybe we get more Pokemon Center ETBs at $60 a pop, and you get in the queue and you're able to snag some. And you're kind of dollar cost averaging. I've said this many times. I'm sorry to repeat myself. This is the way to go. Wait for dollar cost average opportunities, MSRP opportunities, cheaper opportunities, whatever they may be, to bring your total dollar cost for that set, regardless of product, downward. That's the way to go. But grab a product now at retail price, right? And that gives you exposure. That reduces the FOMO because you have emotional investment now into that set. You have financial upside potential. You have some downside potential too, right? But you're not going all in. You're not going all in on it. You're getting 1 or 2 boxes. And this, you look at it like a percentage, how much money you have. Obviously, if you got $5,000 or something a month in free cash flow that you're putting towards Pokemon, then you're going to grab more than one booster box at that secondary market price, right? Look at it as kind of a percentage. And you keep some capital aside for opportunity. Maybe the market turns, okay? If the market goes upwards, you have exposure to it, right? And kind of look at it like that way. But going all in on any product right now, any set at any price right now, you have some risk, specifically in Scarlet and Violet. I put out a video recently about Sword and Shield. I think your risk there, right? Because we want to preserve capital. I want my money. At the end of the day, that's my first fundamental principle, is not just to grow, but I want to preserve the capital. Okay. I want to be risk averse. And looking back at Sword and Shield right now and the amount of upside that we've seen, it's proven itself. Reprints aren't coming on this product. And you're not that far off from some of the prices that we've seen in Scarlet and Violet. Man, it just looks super appealing to me. Super appealing. There's no question about what the future looks like. That's, to me, that's in part, in looking at Scarlet and Violet and my methodology of Scarlet and Violet, buying cheap, like under $100 booster boxes for a long period of time and waiting for the upside. The other part of the methodology that I've been doing is waiting for product that to almost age out, getting close to that 2-year mark, even if it's elevated in price a little bit, and start snatching that up. I don't want to say it eliminates your risk. It almost takes that off the table completely. It takes that reprint thing off the table. It's proven itself over a period of time. That's what we're seeing in Sword and Shield. So again, Destined Rivals is just too expensive for me at $300 a box. When I can go back, I can get 3. I'd rather have 3 ETBs from. I could go back and get 3 Chilling Rain ETBs for under $100, and I'd rather do that. And I think the upside potential. It's not even just that the upside potential I think is going to be there or is going to be more. It's just less risky. And that's not a vote against Destined Rivals. That's not saying Destined Rivals isn't going to explode. I have exposure to Destined Rivals. I have booster boxes, ETBs, Pokemon Center ETBs, and bundles. I have it. And I've waited, and a lot of that I've waited for MSRP. I waited until I had opportunity, and then I jump in. So again, these people sitting with thousands, tens of thousands of booster boxes sitting behind them, talking about with massive capital to deploy, right? They're at the top of the mountain. We're down here trying to grow ourselves and trying to chase after that, right? And trying to chase after this end goal at the end of the day, which is fantastic. We're all here driving ourselves forward. And at the end of the day, that's the point here. But these folks are speaking from a completely different way of thinking. It's from an ivory tower at the end of the day. So again, you have to take that stuff with a grain of salt. Even this, you have to take with a grain of salt. So let's talk about a couple points that Brian makes in his recent video. And I will link these videos down below if you just want to have a comparison here. He talks about a Fusion Strike at, when it was like $90 on on TCG Player. I've talked about it many times, how I backed the truck up. And he's talking about that in the sense of like MSRP being a ripoff, right? And he's making my point for me at the end of the day. Highly anticipated sets can and do get printed into oblivion. So I want you to keep that in mind. Fusion Strike is a 4 horseman set of the Sword and Shield era. It is one of my favorite sets out of the entirety of Sword and Shield. It's right up there with Crown Zenith for me. It is my Evolving Skies, we'll put it that way, right? And it was printed into oblivion. It was $90 at one point. So I want you to keep that in mind. Again, when you're looking at Destined Rivals, when you look at the last 10 months, it's like, I can't lose. I'm going to buy Destined Rivals at $300 a pop. And if you hold it for 5 years, yeah, you can't lose, but you're not going to, or most of you won't. And again, I'm not trying to pick on folks. I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm not saying any of that. It's the reality of what I've seen being around long enough. The same people that were investing during the COVID times, they're gone. They're not here. And I worry that a lot of people here, because it's, you know, they can earn money from it. What if that disappears? If that was the reason you're here and you're not here because you love the product, well, when it ceases to become an investment or ceases to earn you money or ceases to become fun, you're gone. And if enough of you do that at the same point in time and dump your stuff onto the market, man, that's what a crash is. That's literally what a crash is. And it would cause the amount of product that's been printed for Scarlet and Violet and continues to be printed. And then again, the demand signals of the Pokemon company to print, baby. Oh boy, that's what keeps me up at night. That's why I'm not chasing product. That's why I'm not buying Destined Rivals at $300 a booster box. I'm waiting for opportunity. And again, that might mean, because I don't have a crystal ball, none of us do, that I miss out. That's why I have product. I make sure I always have some exposure to that product. So I have the upside potential. And now I can unemotionally invest in the rest of my dollar cost average and my add to Destined Rivals. And this applies to any set, right? So because I have that exposure to it, so I can wait. It's like, okay, I got my seed. It's planted. It's ready to grow. If I can get more seeds at cheaper prices, I will do it. All right. My next point that Brian makes is, the quote is, what the best play of investment is? It's going to TCG Player and eBay and buying up all the surging Spark CTBs that people are panic selling. I'm risking it for the biscuit. This kind of discussion, this kind of terminology is like, it's like a day trader or gambler. And this is not what we do. We do fundamental stuff here on this channel. So again, be careful when people are throwing that kind of terminology out there. Okay, so here's the crux of my rebuke of his video here. He's specifically saying this advice to people, quote unquote, this is a quote, this advice to people to wait. It's costing people thousands of dollars in potential gains. This is the oldest FOMO trick in the book, exclusively focusing on upside while completely ignoring the risk. And again, when you're sitting on thousands of dollars, when you stand to benefit from people going to buy that product, right? I'm not sitting here with millions of dollars in product. I'm not sitting here with a multi-million dollar business. You still should take my opinion with a grain of salt, okay? But again, focusing on just the upside is such risky behavior, it's not even funny. Unintended. Not focusing on risk, not discussing risk and the potential for the Pokemon company to print the shit out of this product and completely collapse this market, right? And I'm not even talking about it wouldn't even take them doing that. It would take, even Prismatic. Let's take Prismatic as an example. If they print the ever-loving crap out of that ETB, the one product, that ETB, okay, which I think they are trying to do. That's all they need to do. If I was running the Pokemon company, this is what I would do. If I was in charge of the printers, I would exclusively, outside of new releases, be focusing on that Prismatic ETB. Because if I can just utterly flood the market with that ETB and crash that ETB price, the rest of the market will follow. Because again, it sends such a signal to everyone else, all the investors in the market, that confidence would be gone at the end of the day. Not even again, I would see that as tremendous opportunity. That is opportunity. The rest of the people that are here, because again, they want short-term gains. I'm buying product now. I want to make money in 6 months to a year. Those people would be gone. It would just completely shake up the market completely. The smart money would start moving in again. The smart money would start picking up product when it gets that cheap. But again, just you have to be careful doing this stuff. This is your money at the end of the day. It's not buying a $20 stock in a company, a share of one stock in a company. You're buying a $300 box that you physically have to store. And people are out there telling you to go chase that price. You need to be careful. You could get upside down on this stuff, and we could possibly be in a market where it becomes hard to move, liquidity becomes an issue, and prices start to fall. Not only do prices fall, people start stepping over each other for pricing. And that snowballs very, very quickly. And again, we want to make money. We are here to make money doing something that we love in products that we love because it's fun. But we want to do it I want you to make, again, I'm going to pick on Sword and Shield. Go look at some of these boxes. Look at Fusion Strike that Brian talks about. Look at the performance and look how long it took to get there. I want you, instead of making $50 on a box in 6 months or a year, I want you holding on to it to make $500 in 5 years. That is the smart play. That's what the smart people are doing. But you are not there yet. You're on a path to becoming wiser. And in doing so, you need to be careful of the risk. You need to, if this is not a sure bet for you, if you haven't done this for a long period of time, that's the danger in buying Destined Rivals at 300 or Surging Sparks booster boxes. It's not that those products aren't good. It's not that those products won't hit $1,000 a booster box. They will. But it will take longer than you may be willing to hold on to do that. And along that road are many the possibilities on that road are the product goes sideways, we go into a kangaroo market, it goes down, and you're upside down. And then the fear sets in, and then you sell whatever price you can get for it. That's the concern. That's where you have to be careful. And that's where you need to take that hype video and hopefully take fundamental information like this, and you stop and you think and you plan. There are opportunities for MSRP product. It's not guaranteed. They may not be the best of breed product, but like I talked about, grab a booster box, then wait for other opportunities. And that brings us to the end of the video where we can wrap up. Again, I love Rudy, love Brian. I love what they're doing. Got to respect the hustle. I just disagree with, at the end of the day, what just sounds like a video is to get views, pump up maybe your investments in this hobby, or to get people to your website to buy product at the end of the day. And that is your right. I'm envious of the empire that you have built, but I'm going to put my 2 cents out there for the world to take for whatever it's worth. So that's the end of the video today. A little bit, maybe some drama. Again, I hope it comes across as positive at the end of the day, and that I just want you to have some other information out there to make an informed decision. Again, for what that's worth. And if you like what we're doing here at PokeMarketLab, a reminder, click that subscribe button below, leave a comment, hit me up at PokeMarketLab@gmail.com if you want to have any more long-form conversations. I have folks that reach out to me. We go back and forth, and it gets my mind going and gets some video ideas out there. And with that, we're going to see you on the next one. PokeMarketLab out.